Welcome back to the channel. Racer X here, and I'm back with my good buddies at Courtesy Dodge in Tampa because today it is all about the Scatpack. We're going to talk about my favorite trim of Scatpack. They just got in a whole bunch of their 2023s. I will tell you why it's my favorite. It should be a ton of fun. If you guys are new to my channel, don't forget, hit subscribe right over here in the corner. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified when my new content comes out, and off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Now they're actually getting in a lot of really cool 2023s right now. Here you can see one of the last call 392 TA packages. I love that two-tone color. However, this is actually not the package we're going to talk about today. We're also starting to see a lot more of the Daytona package Chargers showing up. I actually just did a review on the King Daytona the other day. You got some RT Daytonas right here, several different Daytona trims coming out right now on the Charger, only available on the Charger, but that is actually not the package we're after today either. So let's go take a look. So here is the package that I wanted to talk about today. That, of course, is the 1320, and they just got in several of these beautiful cars. You can see the Sublime car right behind me. Right over here, they've got a Go Mango 1320, and then they've got an F8 one right over here. They've got a whole bunch of them that just showed up, and boy, are they fantastic. So let's take a little closer look. So I went ahead and pulled the Sublime car up here to show you some of the unique features of the 1320 Scatpack. And even though it's been out for a couple of years, I still absolutely love this trim. For somebody like me who's a drag racer, a gearhead, this is the trim to get, in my opinion, because it really is for the drag racers out there. I mean, that's what this package was really meant to do. It essentially is the Scatpack version of a Demon. Yes, I realize it's not as fast as a Demon. It still has the 6.4 naturally aspirated Hemi in it, but I love some of the unique features of this car. Let's take a look. At first glance, this car doesn't look all that dissimilar from other Scatpacks, but there are some unique features of this particular car. I love the push pins on this. That is so old school and retro, but it just looks really good. Of course, the hood, just like you would expect on any other Scatpack. But when we get over here to the side of the car, first of all, you know it's a 1320, a different badge there. And of course, the wheels are a little bit different on this car, and the tires are really what make a huge difference on this car. Now, the 1320s are not available in a wide body, and some people will say, oh look, it should have been in a wide body, all that kind of stuff. Truth be told, they didn't need to do a wide body on this car because it came with factory drag radials. They're 20-inch Nexans that come on this, 275s, but that tire actually does a good job of hooking this particular car up, and that wide body actually adds weight, and that is not always ideal. So they wanted to keep this car relatively low weight, at least as low weight as you can get one of these Scatpacks, and so that was really by design that they did not put a wide body on that. It's like the new Demon 170. They decided not to do the wide body on the front of the car and just on the rear because they stuck 315s on the back of that thing. But this particular car, you can see the extended SRT spoiler right here. I mean, just a really nice package on this 1320. I love this Sublime color. It is really popping with that black on there. But this is the only Scatpack, with the exception of the Super B Special Edition that they're only making 1,000 of for 2023, where you can get factory drag radials. And like I said, they're 20 inches, but they do a good job of hooking this particular car up. One other item of note are the brakes on the 1320. You will notice the smaller 4-piston brake setup on this particular car. It's a lot like the Demon in the fact that they left the smaller brakes on the front to save weight. Obviously, what you want is to transfer all of the weight to the rear wheels when you're launching, and the more weight you have on the front of the car, obviously the less it's going to want to hook. So Dodge purposely decided to put the smaller brakes on the front of the 1320 to help with that weight transfer. Now, there is no difference between the engine of the 1320 and any other Scatpack variant. It's still the 6.4 liter naturally aspirated Hemi, 485 horsepower, 475 pound-feet of torque. Now, the 1320 package costs about $4,000, just under, and then the 1320 Plus group, which I'll actually show you, a lot of that has to do with the inside of the car, is another $1,800. I did want to point out this little feature as well. You can see that right in there, you've got the 1320 Scatpack B just chilling in there. And let's go ahead and move to the inside of the car where things get really good on the 1320. The inside of this particular 1320 is a wonderful place to sit. Lots of upgrades on this car. As I mentioned, this one has that $1,800 plus package, which got the much nicer seats in it. You can see the Alcantara seats. Now, the Alcantara wrapped steering wheel, that actually comes as part of the 1320 package, so you don't need to buy the additional $1,800 package to get that. Now, this is a lot like the Demon in the sense that if you don't pay for it or you don't want it, you don't have to get a passenger seat or a rear seat. So for $1, they give you a passenger seat, and for an additional $1, you can get the rear seats. And if you're going to go ahead and do the plus package, obviously you'd want to do that, at least in my mind, because you're paying $1,800 to get the nicer seats in this. But as you jump over here, you will see this is distinctly a 1320 package. And this is not a limited package, guys, in terms of they only going to produce so many. I really do like this Alcantara wrapped steering wheel on the 1320. This is a standard feature of the 1320. When you go to start it, you will see you get that 1320B right there on the dash. And as you go over here, I went ahead and pulled up the performance pages, but this is the only Scatpack trim where you will see that button right there that says drag on it, and boom. So all you have to do is push that drag setting there, and your drive modes will go directly into drag mode. So right up here, you can go ahead and go into these, and you can do your custom settings this way, so we can actually set everything to drag if we want to. Now, if you go into this, it will actually tell you kind of a little bit more about that individual setting. You can see improved throttle response and modified shifting for enhanced driving experience if you go to drag. And then of course, I like this one here as well. When you go to the suspension, it's basically letting you know this is a firm suspension. It's all about weight transfer with this. So there you go. And then of course, right out here with your steering, it's going to tell you that's not going to give you a lot of steering input. It's all about going in a straight line fast. So it's the hardest to turn if you do that. But it's kind of neat how they gave you some additional information with each one of those settings. But the only Scatpack trim where you'll actually get these drag settings on it, and it really does have a great suspension for drag racing. The 1320 is also the only Scatpack trim where you get a factory trans brake. I absolutely love this. As I mentioned, this thing is all about the drag racers out there. Very unique functionality with this particular trim. And this is about as decked out, this particular one is about as decked out as you can make a Scatpack 1320. So not only does it have the $4,000 1320 package on it, it also has the 1320 plus package on it, which is like $1,800. And that got us some other things, a lot nicer seats in it. I mean, there's some other, the folding mirrors and things like that. I think it's got brighter headlights on it. So you do get some things for that. Now, if you're only going to go with the one seat, as I mentioned before, this thing's a lot like the Demon in that you can order this with just one seat in it. I don't know if it really makes sense to go with the plus package, because a lot of that money would be wrapped up in giving you the nicer seats both beside you and in the back. But $1 gets you the seat right here and the seat in the back. So in my mind, that's worth doing, because you can always take the seats out when you go to the track, which is what I have always done. And this thing also has an $1,800 Harman Kardon system in it. It's got, of course, the Torque Flight 8-speed, which if you're drag racing, that is really what you want. I will go ahead and add, for 2023, you can buy a manual 1320, which kind of defeats the purpose in my mind, but you can buy a manual. But if you buy the automatic, it is $1,600. But I mean, you almost need to have that if you're going to be a drag racing guy, because it is just so much faster. Not that I don't love the manuals, guys, but we all know the automatics are far superior when it comes to drag racing. And there's a couple other goodies on this. As I mentioned, it's got sunroof and all that kind of stuff. $61,420 is the sticker price on this particular Scatpack. So certainly not a cheap car, but what a fantastic package the 1320 is. I want to go ahead and drive it down the road. Now, one thing I want to mention about this car is certainly that it does really well from a dig. You wouldn't think so with 275s. As a matter of fact, this thing actually does better from a dig because of the suspension and the tire compound than the wide body cars do, and those have 305s on them. But I've actually seen where this car does much better in a dig race, even on a non-prep surface, because the drag radials are so soft. And I've actually seen cars with like 245 drag radials, as long as they're the right compound, go like 7s in the quarter mile. So a lot of people think it's all about the width of the tire. It really isn't. The 275 Nexans on this thing do a great job of keeping the power planted on the ground. Not to say you can't spin these tires, but it really does do a nice job of putting the power to the ground, because as we know, the Scatpack is very torquey, and that's what I absolutely love about it. You really don't sacrifice anything when it comes to these tires. They actually do a pretty good job in the rain. A lot of people think if you're running a drag radial that you can't drive it in the rain. In the case of like the new Demon 170, that would be an absolutely terrible idea. Those Mickey Thompson 315s on the back of that thing will absolutely put you in a ditch. But these Nexans, a little bit different story on these. These things will actually do a pretty darn good job of, you know, helping you get down the road in the rain without the car going every which direction. Yet they still have enough grip to kind of get this thing to hook up even if you're doing a dig. So man, it's kind of the best of both worlds with this, and the ride quality on these drag radials is really good. Because those of you that have ever driven a purpose-built drag racing car, most of the time they drive awful on the street. I mean, they're just not very friendly to drive every day. I mean, they're really made for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to go fast in a straight line. A lot of those cars, you just put them in a trailer and off you go. This particular one, yes, it is a drag race oriented type car. However, it has perfect street manners. I'm really enjoying driving it. Just listen to it. I'm not going to go super crazy. It's not broken in yet. But man, I love the fact that these drag radials do such a good job on the street, everyday type driving, yet they hook the car up the way that they're supposed to. And there's really no downside to this particular trim. And that's why I love it. One little quirky thing about this particular trim is the fact that, like, when it comes to the engine and transmission settings, you either get normal or you get drag. It's either all or nothing. The same with the traction. It is drag or it is normal. However, in the suspension, you can get sport or normal, but you don't necessarily get a track setting. So you lose the track setting that you would get in a normal Scatpack for the drag setting that you get in the 1320. It's very much the same on the steering. There's no track. It just goes drag, sport, normal. So a couple of settings you don't necessarily get. But like I said, this thing is all about drag racing, so I get it. Yeah, these 1320s are just, they're fantastic. I love them. Like I said, I know the trim's been out a little while, but I mean, they are just so good, especially for a gearhead like me. Oh, listen to it. Goodness, it sounds good, and it's been proven. I mean, this is the fastest trim on the track. I mean, that's what this thing was made to do. So if you really like that, this is absolutely the trim for you. So the question I get a lot is, Racer X, if you were going to buy a Scatpack, which one would you get? And this is the answer to that question. I would absolutely, hands down, get a 1320. It has been my favorite one. Yes, I realize it's not a wide body, but it's a purpose-built machine for what I like to do. It just has a little bit more aggression to me when you drive it. It's a purpose-built machine, and I just love that about the 1320. Matter of fact, if you like the 1320, you saw all three of these beautiful cars up here at Courtesy Dodge. All you do is call my buddy Mo. They will not mark these cars up, so you can get these things at MSRP or better. So that's just not what this dealership does, which is partly why I love them so much. So anyway, give Mo a call if you want to buy a 1320 at Sticker. And that about does it for my review of the 2023 Challenger Scatpack 1320. Love this package. As I mentioned, I know it's been out for a couple of years, but this one by far is still my favorite. This is right up my alley. Like I said, it's almost like a baby Demon, and some of the unique features that you get on this really set this thing apart. What is your favorite Scatpack trim? I would love to hear it in the comments down below, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.